Mr. J. Hines, custom clothier, man. How's it going?
Man, it's going great. I can't complain. How about yourself?
It's going well, man. Definitely a privilege, definitely an honor in the social media world of ours to come across amazing people. I never, if I'm going to be honest, Jay, man, I never sought out to like do a podcast or interview or talk to people. Just in the line of work that I do, I I
Hmm.
thought it was advantageous. I thought it was a smart move to talk to these dreamers, these believers, these creatives, like people that had the goal and the gumption to say, you know what, yeah, I'm going to believe in myself and I'm going to go out there and do this. And I, I look at content creators and then I see people. I'm like, wait a minute, you're hold on, you're the real deal, like you're the real version. So I wanted to be intentional about reaching out to you, man, and unpacking these questions and what it is you've done such an amazing job of creating. I can only imagine what's coming, but things are well, and I am really excited to jump into these questions, to jump into this podcast, man. And I'm excited to be sitting in front of you today.
Awesome. Well, look, I appreciate it, brother. I'm equally as excited to have a conversation with you.
Sure, sure. Before we jump in,
Yeah,
is there any way? Because I got a nice little setup. I got your social media pulled up and everything.
yeah.
Is there anything you want to say to the people before we jump in? I'm going to introduce you. I'm going to toss you beautiful alley oops all throughout. But is
Yeah.
there any way that you want to say hello or introduce yourself to the people?
Yeah, man. For anyone who's watching this, again, my name's Joseph Hines. I've been in the menswear industry now over a decade plus, and my big thing is helping guys connect their image with their income and performance. I've noticed that sometimes, obviously, as men, we can, be single focused and prioritize one area of the life, and all that I'm here to do is connect both pieces of the puzzle
Yeah.
and connect the dots. So looking forward to the conversation today. If you want to connect with me, you can find me on my Instagram at Mr.jhines, Jhines.
Yes, sir.
And again, just excited to have a conversation, hopefully provide some value today.
We're going to make sure we come back to how to connect and do all those things. I've got an amazing setup at the end, so don't even worry about it. Your bio says
Mhm.
refining six and seven figure men's image, aligning their look with their level of success via custom wardrobe and lifestyle direction. This is how I know I'm sitting in front of somebody amazing. Like this is how I know, because the questions that I have,
Mhm.
it's not that easy to get to them. So I got to ask this question first. How did you how did you end up here though? Like was it always custom clothing? Was it always, an image consultant? Was it always did you always dress nice? Was it something that connected to you? How did we land here?
Yeah, man. No, it's a great question. I think it's important too, because I think a lot of times people see, the finished product, but they don't necessarily see, the process and how you got there. So, I was never into clothing. Like growing up,
Mm,
you would have asked me what I was going to do. I thought I was going to be the next Kobe Bryant. I thought I was going to be playing in the NBA, right?
yeah, yeah.
I was like a basketball head. Like I was obsessive. And, at that time of my life, especially, 7, 8, 9, 10 growing up. My version of dressing up was getting my brother's hand-me-downs. I'm the youngest of four, so I'm wearing like his Sean John sets,
Yeah.
baggy denim jeans,
Mark
at that
Echo, all of that.
yeah,
Okay.
like all of that.
Okay.
At that time of my life, that there was a little group, I don't know if you've heard of them, called them Franchise Boys, that was very popular at the time.
I think I heard of them before.
And they had this song called Yep and My White Tee.
Yeah.
And I remember, my thing, I remember asking my mom, like, look, mom, I need a 4XL white tee. And
Today.
at the time, my mom would buy me like just an XL, and I'm like, Mom, you're missing like three more X's, right? Because if it wasn't at least like shin length, obviously the T was not long
Not doing it
enough.
right.
So I'm like, Mom, this isn't what I need, right? So at that point in my life, man, like dressing up was not a thing. I was the guy who was in the gym. Literally, I would
Yes,
make
sir.
1,000 shots, right? But what ended up happening was really interesting. My junior year, going into my senior year, I broke my arm twice in the same year. It was about four to
Wow.
five months apart from each other. And I'll never forget the second time I broke my arm. I literally, when I broke it, all of my teammates ran out the gym. And I remember walking to the nurse's office by myself, my arms like dangling, the bone right
Wow.
through the skin. And it was the first time I ever thought about not playing basketball. right? So, you fast forward, I have surgery in my arm, I wake up from surgery, and then I realize that I have no feeling at all in my left hand. And when I was talking to the doctor about it, they told me, well, hey man, it's nerve damage. And the thing
Mm,
about nerve damage is they can't tell you if that's going to come back. It might or it might not.
no clue.
So now I'm in this really interesting situation where, I had all these college camps lined up. I was going into AAU. That was a really big season for my junior year. But now I can't do any of that because I have to rehab. So
Wow.
going into my senior season, I'll never forget, I remember I had to play that season essentially with one hand because I still hadn't recovered all of the feeling in
Mm,
my hand. So obviously, that affects a lot of your college looks. And I'll never forget, I had block schedule and I used to always train on my free time during my block schedule in high school. And, I'm going through my drills and I'm doing the regular setup. And I remember it was one of the first times in life where I picked up a basketball and it felt like work. And it
mm,
like I had had the blessing of being an athlete and only knowing how to do the things that I loved. And I was in this really interesting point in my life to where this is the first time where the thing I love felt like work. So I'm like, oh, I don't like this. So now I'm in this really weird space where I have all this extra energy, but I don't know where to direct it. So at the time, I happened to be going to a college visit to a school called Georgia Southern University, and a guy by the name of Adam Hazlip, he comes up to me, he says, "Hey man, look, we are having a program called Pathways to Success. It's for incoming, African American males. We're only selecting 30 in this freshman class. Would you be interested in applying?" Now, look, I wasn't mock trial, I wasn't SGA, I
yeah.
was strictly basketball. But again, I had
Yeah.
all this extra energy. I didn't know where to place it. So I'm literally with my mom, and I said, what the heck, sure, I'll apply. So I applied for the organization. About a month goes by, and I get an email basically saying that I've been accepted. And a part
Oh,
of this organization is basically they have you come to school about a week before school starts and they pair you with mentors. So I go to school a week ahead of time and I get paired with these mentors. And I mean, these are guys who are homecoming kings, SJ presidents, NSBE presidents. And it was one of the first times that I ever saw men that looked like me that
yes.
actually prepped up. And what really did it for me, I'm 17, 18 years old at the time, and we were in our dining commons called Landrum. Man, it had to be maybe like 10 or 12 of them walked in all at one time. And it was like time stopped, right? Like the lunch lady stopped serving chicken, the girls stopped talking at the table. And in that
Wow.
moment, I became fascinated about what caused that response, what caused that shift in the environment just based on what they were wearing.
Yeah.
And that was really my first introduction into menswear and what really got me into the space. And I've been doing and been in the menswear space ever since then. So that was kind of how I got into it. That's what piqued my interest, and that's kind of the origin story
That's an
there as well.
amazing, amazing story, amazing intro. And now who you are, and I believe that this is an amazing opportunity for a segue into our actual first question.
Yeah.
What is it you're building right now, and why does it matter to you personally?
Mm. So it's two things, man. The first thing is obviously what I'm doing on the clothing side. The reason it matters to me because I've seen how much image impacts men's lives.
Mm,
Because there's something really phenomenal that happens when a guy becomes intentional about the way that he shows up and presents himself. Because a lot of people think it's just a clothing thing. It's not just a clothing thing, right? Because presentation goes into not only how you dress, but how you show up with your health, how you show up in your relationships,
yes.
how you show up in your business. And sometimes what happens with men is we don't always connect the dots and are consistent with our beliefs and thinking.
Yes.
So a guy may show up and be very intentional in business with
Mhm.
his marketing, with the way his front desk looks, but he doesn't always have that same intentionality with himself, right? And sometimes you don't notice that lack of intentionality in these other areas bleeds into these other areas of our life, and we tend to have less fulfillment in these other areas and in our relationships because of this. So like for
Yeah.
me, it's just really important about giving guys this full suite because man, like the confidence you start to see, the way people start to react, and even how it enriches other relationships is phenomenal. And sometimes it's hard for guys to conceptualize it because when you get to a certain level of success and income, you get access, right? But with access, you forget the intangibles,
Ooh,
right?
come
Like
on.
even talk about this relationship. Like a guy can have access, but access doesn't equate to attraction. Those are two different things,
Jay, come on
right?
with it, sir.
So these are just the little tidbits that sometimes gets lost in translation as we have the income, as we have these things that can kind of hide the weaknesses. And what I tell guys is, look, I don't know about you, but I don't want to be Johnny Bravo, right? I want to hit legs too, right? So, I don't want to be that guy. And most men don't want to be that guy. But
Yeah,
because we're not called to be better in other areas of our life, we're not aware of it. So that part's been really important because again, I've seen how it's impacted men on multiple income levels,
yeah,
from the guy making a quarter million to the guy making 8 or 9 figures,
yep,
right? Like it's been transformational in every space.
yep,
And then the second thing is, also I have a men's community I've been building with my business partner, called The Standard. And essentially, we cater to men making six figures and up, either
yeah,
corporate that are looking to transition to entrepreneurship or guys making $1 million in revenue in their business plus who are just looking for other like-minded men who's gotten to the
sure.
space, but they feel like they're at the top of the mountain. They look around them, they feel like they're the only ones there. They don't have other men that they can go to either for support or to talk about their losses, even their wins with, right? Because if they
Yeah,
talk about their wins with their current friend group, it sounds like they're bragging, right? And that's I think been really pivotal because I think for a lot of times there's not a lot of space for men to have like-minded company.
yes,
You see, you go out to a nice restaurant, you see, a group of 8 or 9 women, like very regularly. But you go out to a restaurant, very rarely we see a group of men that are just fellowshipping, having a good
yep,
time. You might see two at
yeah,
most,
yeah.
but you're not seeing a group. So that's the other thing that I've been building that I think's been really important, and it's been cool to just even work with men on that level. So those are the two things at the moment that I think are important for me and that really matter.
Absolutely love it. You were speaking about some of the transitions that happened
Yeah,
in your life and some of the decisions that you had to make.
yeah.
Were those the only decisions or shifts that had the biggest impact on where you are today, from the basketball transition to, seeing that for the first time 16, 17, 18 years old? Are those the only shifts and transitions that kind of, had the biggest impact on where it is you are today?
Yeah, I would say that's one. The other is having to decide and be intentional on my friendships based on purpose and not proximity. One of the things that, I realized, especially when I was in high school, is a lot of my friendships were based on proximity. I played basketball, so
Yeah.
all of my friends were built based on because we were on the basketball team together. But, as I reflected going into college, I realized that a lot of those people weren't my friends,
Mm,
right? They didn't share my values. And they weren't true friends or good
yeah.
people to be around for me. And
Okay.
there were multiple instances that happened that showed me that. So going into college, one of the things that was really important is this was the first time where I got to really be intentional and choose my friendship group
Yes.
based on values and purpose, right? And that to me was a big shift. And it's been a theme in my life, right? Because in every new season, I've realized the importance that I've had to reinvent that and do that again and be re-reminded
Mm,
of what that looks like.
yeah.
Right? Because sometimes too, you can have friends that once you thought you were aligned with on purpose, but the proximity starts blinding you to the fork.
Yeah.
Sometimes a fork in the road can also begin to split in your friendship with where you're looking to go and where they're looking to go, how they
100%.
see you versus how you see them.
Yeah.
And you may not know that, you may have a Judas that is next to you, but you ignore the signs based on the proximity.
Hmm.
So man, understanding that, was huge because what I noticed is as I started to change my friendship circle, again, like a lot of my mentors, these are guys that are getting their doctoral degree, that are getting their
Yes.
master's, like even being able to have conversation with them,
Yep.
being able to talk with them, the level of the conversation really impacted me. It impacted the way that I think. It impacted the way that I maneuvered through conflict,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it was so transformational, but that was because the type of people I was around.
Hmm.
And that for me was another like huge shift. And I think learning that lesson early in college was so transformational because even when I left college, I've been able to kind of duplicate that same thought process and continue to align myself with people based on purpose and not necessarily just proximity.
Yeah, you hit some really good points there, and I'm glad that you brought that up. Speaking in the terms of how people see you and how you see other people, and what it makes me think and kind of unpack just a little bit is not just the way I see you or the way you see me, but the way I need you to see me and the way I need to hold people accountable and require them to see me, because a lot of people will be there for you, but
Yeah.
my question is, what version of me are you there for? Because if
Hmm.
you are there for me in a framework or a position or chapter of life that I am no longer in, you might be
Hmm.
there for the wrong person. You might be
Hmm.
there for an outdated version of me.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, like, I am five, six, seven, 10 different versions. I'm
Hmm.
of a different guy than I was since the last time we spoke. So
Hmm.
speaking about that, that proximity versus purpose, a lot of that happens in relationships. A lot of that happens because we have a relationship with the title of a person versus who a person actually is. And it's like, oh, well, you're my mom, you're my dad, or you're my pastor, you're my boss. Cool, that's your title, but is that your behavior? And a lot of times when we grow and we develop and things like that, you're there for me and you have a relationship with an updated version of me, with a current version of me, because I've grown, I've matured, and
Yeah.
I'm not who I was. And it's not, there's nothing wrong with me if I'm not who I was. Well, you're acting kind of brand new, and you're new, and you're not. Should we not be? Should we
Yeah.
not be analyzing ourselves daily, looking for fat that we can cut away, looking for ways that we can mentally and emotionally grow and become better? Because these lives that we have are not just for us. We are in proximity to other people, and what it is we affect or infect them with matters. So when you talk about the way people see you and the way that they need to see you, I absolutely love it.
Yeah, Jim Rohn, he's one of my favorite
Love
speakers.
it.
May
Love
rest
it.
in peace. And he has this amazing line where he says, that there's a reason that they make the third grade desk so small, right? Because it's eventually you got to grow out of them.
Yeah.
And to this concept, yeah, people would say, "Oh man, you switched up, you've changed," right? And it's like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And I think obviously a lot of times, you can have survivor's guilt when you make that change.
Mm,
But I think the best analogy to kind of use is like when you're a caterpillar, yes, it makes sense for you to be friends with other insects that are on the ground.
I'm done.
But when
I'm
you
done.
when you yeah, but when you transition to a butterfly, like it's almost like you'll die if you stay on the ground. Right? Now you're food. You know what I mean? So it's you have to create new friendships because just by level of the proximity and the level that you are now operating at consistently, right? Because
Yes.
it's actually more uncomfortable for you to continue to walk as a butterfly than you just fly. So now you're having to track and minimize your own capability to keep those same relationships, right?
Imagine, imagine walking with wings.
Yeah,
I'm so done with I'm
yeah.
so done with this podcast.
It's crazy. It's what the people would call nasty work, right? Like
Nasty work.
you wouldn't recommend that.
Imagine walking with wings, Mr. J. Hines. I don't let me put anything on you. Don't let me put words in your mouth.
Yeah.
If anything, is there something that people may misunderstand about your journey or the work that you do?
I think the biggest misconception that people have about what I do is a lot of times they hear my message and they hear what I talk about and they think that I'm communicating or I'm implying that you have to wear a suit.
Come on. Come on. Unpack that for us.
And my core message, because I'm actually never big on like forcing a guy to wear anything or saying you absolutely can't wear that. My biggest message, my core messaging is always just having a guy understand what do you want to communicate? And is what you're wearing indicative of what you're looking to communicate? Because if it's not, then there may need to be a switch in the messaging,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if you're wanting to communicate English, but your outfit is communicating Spanish, there's a disconnect. So I don't try to get into the you shouldn't wear that, you shouldn't wear this, but what I do get into is you shouldn't communicate that and you shouldn't communicate this if this is your goal.
Come on.
And if that's where you're at, then yeah, I want to speak to that and I want to raise awareness on that, right? Because at the end of the day, I always tell people this. Clothing is built on context, not content, right? So it's knowing when to do the right thing in the right situation,
Yes, sir.
right? Because it's like if you wearing a full suit at the pool, it can look great, but like positioning context wise, it
Time.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So it's like I think people see my overall message and they say, well, you think you always wear a suit? I'm gonna wear a suit. No one's saying that.
No.
All I'm saying is understand the rooms that you're in, understand what you want to communicate in those rooms, and also understand the culture of that room and how it may perceive you based on the uniform of that room.
Yeah.
So I always give this analogy. It's like, hey, look, if you want to play basketball, right? Like I give this story. I'll never forget. This is when I was in college. I remember we were playing pickup, and as right, when you go to
Yeah.
pickup, people start picking
Yeah.
teams,
And I
and a
do
lot of
and I
how
do
they
that, by the way. By the way, I ain't tall for nothing. I play ball. So yeah, we can I appreciate that.
so usually, when you pick teams, the easiest way to do is you kind of check people out by their gear.
Yep.
So I remember there was this one dude, right? He came on the court, and this man had like the Nike free runs on, like the
Ooh.
running joints with the running shorts.
Say
Not not
hold on.
not the short shorts that the kids wear now, but like the running shorts.
Yes.
You know what I mean? With like like a Patagonia shirt. And it was so fascinating because literally like 4 games went by and no one would pick him up.
Mm.
And it wasn't until maybe like the fifth or sixth he finally got on the court. And the fascinating thing is he lights out.
He could ball.
Oh,
He had a heater on him.
yeah, oh my God. But what I was so interested is why didn't anyone pick him up?
We know why.
And it wasn't because of a skill set issue, but it was a uniform issue. And the
Mm.
uniform he had on was not indicative of the sport he was looking to play. So although he was nice, right? He had to wait his turn because there was an alignment between his image and his level of performance.
Man,
So
man, man.
at the core of what I talk about, that is what it is. And again, obviously there's guys who the more they lean on the performance side and the more they develop a reputation on the performance side, they tend to drop off on the image side,
Yeah.
right? Which you can do, but I will tell you, right? Jill Scott's phenomenal, but why is she not Beyonce,
Come on. Come on.
right?
Come
When
on.
you
Let's
look
talk
at
about it.
guys like, your Conor McGregors,
Yep.
your Floyds, your Drake, there's a connection
Yeah.
between the image and the performance piece.
Mm.
And when you combine that consistently enough and long enough, that's for me, I think when you get like really outsized returns, and
Yes.
even outside of just the income perspective, it's it's the personal relationship perspective too.
Yeah.
Because I always tell guys, look, I always say, it's all fun being Jeff Bezos to your girl sees Leonardo DiCaprio at the award show,
It's a
right?
difference.
So, so that's what I'm saying. So at the core, I think that's what people kind of maybe misconstrue about my message, and I don't know. Hopefully that helps.
No, it definitely does help because that does shine a light. But you putting in that when there's two people that sh- don't have the same language, who's your interpreter?
Yeah.
Who's the person that says, "Hey,
Mhm.
this is what this person's saying. This is what this person's saying." And what I can see is a person who forgot their invitation, a person who can't remember the phone number of the person who invited them to the thing, to the event. And you're saying,
Yeah.
"Hey, I'm supposed to be here."
Mhm.
And they're like, "Well, do you have your ticket? Do you have your invitation? Who told you that?" So they have to go check with someone. And that
Mhm.
person asks them who, and they look. Who are they going to see? And
Mhm.
what does your, as you say, uniform, what does it communicate for you? What
Hmm.
does it communicate for you? If you just show up to this event, you just got on your basketball cap and your t-shirt,
Yeah,
and you're
yeah,
like, I'm supposed to be here. Well, first
yeah,
of all, unless everybody knows who you are, or you
yeah.
just got it like that, because it's not always the clothes that make them, but there's a
Hmm.
thing of intentionality and
Hmm.
communication and knowing
Yeah.
the surroundings and where you are
Hmm.
before I even open my mouth and say anything.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
What do, what interpretation of me do you have? And there's some
Yeah.
different things, but yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
No, 100%. I'll even add to that, right? Because there might be some guys who watch this and they might fall on the the ladder of, well, they know who I am.
Yeah,
So
it's there, it's there.
I can go anywhere I want. And here's what I say to that, right? Yes, you're dropping 30 points a night, but you're also doing it on 30 shots. And
Mm.
all I'm saying is if you're a true high performer, if you're a true guy who likes to maximize his life the same way you maximize his business, wouldn't it make sense if you learned how to be able to do it on 18 versus 30? The percentages look a lot different. And that like that's always my biggest point is like, okay, cool. 30 shots a game for 30 points. I mean,
Yeah,
the stat sheet looks great. But what I'm wondering is can we still improve the percentages?
yeah.
Right? Can we improve that field goal percentage? And that's kind of where I land on that.
Mr. J. Hines, who did you have to become for your goals, ideas, and visions to actually work? Did you have to change who you are, no pun intended, or did you
Mhm.
have to step into who you already were or what you were supposed to be? Sometimes I heard you talking about earlier, like, hand me downs. And and sometimes we're given something that may not be our size at the moment, but it gives us an opportunity to grow into something that will one day fit us.
Mhm. Mhm.
Who did you have to become for these goals, dreams, and visions to actually work?
Yeah, I think I had to gain more alignment and belief in the identity,
Okay.
right? And what I mean by that is, obviously when you first start, sometimes you can have imposter syndrome
Yes.
or you can not necessarily have confidence
Hmm.
that you are who you say you are, or that, belief in the thing that you're trying to achieve. And I give this story all the time. I remember my first time going to UGA. I don't know if you're familiar with University of Georgia, but it's a college town.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
remember going, I was 19 years old, and the big thing to do at UGA is it's a bar town, right? So
Yeah.
everyone goes to the bars. And the big initial problem when we were going to UGA is I kept telling my friends, I'm like, how am I going to get in the bars? Because I'm not 21.
Yeah.
And at the time, they were laughing. They're like, look, trust me, Joe, we got you. Don't worry about it. I'm like, you saying don't worry about it. You still haven't answered the
Hey,
question.
I'm worried.
Yeah. So we get to the bars and they end up passing me an ID. So I'm looking at the ID. The guy's dark skin. I'm light skin. I'm like, this is gonna be really interesting. So we all go into this line. It's about five of us. I'm like in the middle.
Yeah.
So first friend goes in, cool. Second friend goes in, cool. Then I'm next, right?
Yeah.
And I see the bouncer. He looks at the ID, looks at me, looks back at the ID, looks back at me. I'm sweating bullets. Like, please don't throw me out, right? And he says, cool, you're in. So I get into the space, right? And what was so fascinating about it is while I was inside the bar, what do you think I was doing?
Looking around, maybe seeing how am I even going to get a drink, just scoping the scene.
Bro, terrified. I was literally in the corner.
Man.
Bro, tripping. Because I was like, oh my God, what if they know who I am? And what I realized in that moment is sometimes we might have access to a space,
Come on.
right? But if we don't have the right identity, we won't be able to utilize the
Yeah.
space.
Come on,
So,
man.
so for me, it was about not just getting access, but developing an identity where I utilize the space. So where I
Yeah.
could go in a room with guys, at the time at 21, 22, making a quarter meal, making a meal, making
Yep.
it, and still
Yep.
have the confidence and the personal power to be able to have that conversation with them,
Hmm.
right? The clientele to work the room. And that's what a lot of it was for me. It was developing an identity of, okay, I have to execute. I can't procrastinate,
Yeah.
right? Like I have to act. Like those were the things I really had to strip from myself And also too, the hard thing about being an athlete is the routine is built for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Coach is going to tell you when to work out, when away, like, so that was a hard part of I had to start building my own routine. I didn't have somebody over me. I didn't have, suicides that I was gonna have to do if I didn't go to the weight room or so that part to me was a lot of my journey, especially initially in college and really having to work that part out of myself. And that's what I think the biggest thing was for me in terms of who I had to become.
There's something to be said about this clothing yourself. There's something to be said about the way you dress yourself.
Mhm.
And not from me hearing what it is you're saying, but from me listening to what it is you're
Yeah.
saying. Can you I, I I just believe that this is the right direction. I believe that as you help these men and these people
Mhm.
clothe themselves, I believe you're also helping them clothe themselves internally as well. Like
Mhm.
there's a
Mhm.
way that you have to mentally and emotionally dress yourself because you can have on the perfect suit, the perfect
Mhm.
tux, or just the perfect attire, right situation, right time, and what place. Jay, are you able to speak to not just the way we have to clothe ourselves externally, but the way we have to clothe ourselves internally, mentally, and emotionally, confidently, wherewithal, gumption, vigor? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, man. Again, right? I'm always very big on it's not just image, it's also performance. Right. And to your point, it's not even just the idea of dressing well externally. You have to have that same thought process internally.
Yes, sir.
And the cool thing about being in the clothing industry is it really helps you develop what I call contextual based thinking. That's how you even develop your taste level because you start being able to ask yourself questions like, okay, if I'm in this room, who's in the room? What's the vibe of this room? How am I able to best present myself while I'm in this room to where it makes the most sense while still communicating who I am in this room?
Mm,
So now
yeah.
that level of thinking starts to also transpire in other areas of your life, right? So it's like, okay, if I want to develop this goal, okay, who do I need to become? How do I need to think? What are the actions I
Yeah.
have, right?
Yeah.
In the same way you start making yourself sharp externally, you start to develop those habits internally as well. Okay, cool. I'm dressing well, outside, but how am I dressing in terms of my mental? So, okay, what are the
Yes.
books am I reading? What does that routine look like?
There it is.
What does my workout routine look like
Yeah.
in the morning? How sharp and intentional is that?
Yeah.
Right? So I think it's this bleeding of the thought process that starts to develop in these other pillars and areas of your life based on how you're showing up intentionally externally, right? And what you wear. And again, I always say like if you've gotten to a point as a guy where you're just saying, oh, I don't care how I dress. To me, that's a little bit of a disconnect.
Okay.
And I do think that you're lying to yourself,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Because I think to truly get to that point, you don't have that in other areas of your life. And at least
Mm,
with the men that I deal with, when you're talking high 6 and 7 figure earners,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right? Because you don't have that same level of being undisciplined in your practice, in your work,
Talk about
in
it.
the way that you're on your business. So to have that disconnect in how you personally show up with your parents, to me, right? You're lying to yourself.
Yeah.
And you're allowing ego to get in the way of growth. And you're actually being anti-growth,
Okay. Yeah.
right? And as a cornerstone for you to even get to where you're going, you haven't been an anti-growth individual.
Mm,
So you have to be able to really reconcile who you've been up to this point to who you're being right now
yep.
and your inability to want to grow in this area.
Yeah.
And that I think is another big thing where you kind of walk guys through that thought process and they're like, oh, dang, okay. But when you say it like that,
Yeah.
right? It changes the game a little bit.
Have some guys ever just not got it? Have they ever not? This isn't for me, or I appreciate. I don't. I don't know if you have difficulties or hurdles in your business because you're not just trying to make guys look good. I have this thing all the time. Like, if you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you perform good. Like, these things matter, and there are some things that men can have on their side, as height, fitness, vernacular, how well spoken they are, things of that nature. But have you ever had a client to where you just couldn't dress it up? Like, it just wasn't.
So at this point, no, only because keep in mind for a guy to come to me, he's already had some level of indoctrination or understanding of to what I'm about and who I work with.
Yes.
Right. So for me, like I try to make my messaging as clear as possible. It's like,
Hmm.
hey, look, if you're a high 6 and 7 figure earner,
You're already there.
looking to connect his image with his level of performance, click the link in my bio.
Yeah.
And then, if you click the link in my bio, I'll try to be very direct
Yeah.
with, with who I work for.
Yeah.
So like now at this point, I'm not having a guy's coming to me, he's already very aware that like this is the direction he wants to go.
Yep.
So I'm not necessarily having conversations where I'm having to like convince the guy that
Yeah.
he needs to do these things. He's already aware of the problem. He's just looking to solve it, and he wants to know what are the options that I provide to be able to solve that issue.
Yeah. I love it. You bring up some amazing points. My favorite question,
Hmm.
our last question, and this has been absolutely amazing. You have the attention of the world for 60 full seconds.
Mm.
Every eye can see you, every ear can hear you, every language can understand you. You have the attention of the entire world for 60 seconds. What would you say to them?
Mm. Never forget that the biggest business you will always operate is the business of you.
Mm,
And if you aren't intentional about the business of you, why should other people be?
okay. Okay. I'm not adding anything to that. I'm not taking anything away from that.
Yeah.
I simply have to give the props and the flowers where they're due. And my hope that from this episode, from this podcast, from this engagement, from this interaction, my hope is that people didn't just hear you, but they were listening. And to dress yourself appropriately externally, I hope that people are dressing themselves internally to make the decision. That outside appearance matters not to impress other people, not to have people look at you or choose you only. We
Mhm.
understand the necessary evils, but you deserve to look and feel a certain type of way. This matters. When you go get your hair done, or when you do this, or when you do these things matter. And I don't end the episode with I don't end the episode with how can we support you? That's not a thing. The way I like to land this is how do we connect with you to make our lives better? I heard you speak about a community. Is it on social media? Is it a YouTube channel? Is it a service? Is it a book? How do we connect with Mr. J. Hines to make our lives better?
Yeah, of course. I think first and foremost, follow me on Instagram at Mr.Jhines, Jhines. And if you're a guy who's watching this, if you're a high performer, again, you're looking to want to connect that image with your level of performance, click the link in my bio.
Yes.
And we'll be able to have a call and I can go through some of the options that we do with our clients to be able to connect the dots. And on the community side, if you're a man who maybe you're feeling isolated, or maybe you're just feeling like you don't have guys around you that are on your level in this next season of life, guys that can help you build, scale, be able to have bigger and higher level conversations with. You can follow our community. It's called The Standard. The Instagram page is The Affluent Standard. And if it's something that you feel like you really need in this season of life, again, if you're a corporate guy looking to get into entrepreneurship, maybe you have the golden handcuffs and you're like, man, I have the money, but I want more time with my kids, my family, myself. I'm looking to
Yeah.
legacy, leave something behind. Or if you're the guy, or maybe you already have the business, you're doing 1 million plus in revenue, and you just want to be around guys who get it. Um, Click the link in the bio, apply. It is application based, and we look to hopefully maybe see you on the other side.
Mr. J. Hines, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. I know that in our next season, I'll create a reason to have you back. Thank you so much for putting that education in front of us. Thank you so much for putting this access and this resource to be intentional about how it is we communicate before we can even open our mouths. I can't thank you enough, and I look forward to having you back sometime again soon.
Awesome. Thank you, brother.